go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. We're going to start this meeting off a little bit different than how we have previously, but I think this will be the way going forward, where we're all just going to go around in a circle and say our name and say present. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. Gerard Ponikook, present.
Christina Elam, present.
Austin White, present.
Gretchen Knoll, present.
Hooker, present.
Paul Anderson, present.
Nick Blanford, City Bloomington staff, present.
Okay, and I think it's just Jane on
Yeah,
online. So.
Jane Cooper's.
Yep, Jane Cooper Smith, staff, present.
All right. Really happy to have you here, Austin. Would you mind just saying real quickly what your connection is to the Bloomington Arts?
I've lived here for 13, 14 years. Came here, just kind of became an honorary townie. I love it very much. I work at secretly, have been involved with community events, block parties, DJing around town, just kind of been like a local guy.
Right, also a humble guy. I know Austin's also an excellent musician and karaoke host. So, yeah, thanks so much. We're really excited to have you on the commission, Austin. Yeah, thanks for being here. So going on to agenda item number 2, an approval of the agenda and of the minutes. So the minutes from the February meeting, because we didn't have a March meeting, have been distributed and read. Are there any noted corrections to the minutes?
No.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and motion to approve the minutes. Can I get a verbal second?
Second.
All right, thanks. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, fantastic. The minutes are approved. So I will move on to agenda item number 3, the staff report, and I'll turn it over to Nick.
Thank you, Gerard. Gerard went through a quick roll call there. There might be a couple other changes we see with the agenda and some of the documents over the next month or so. The city has some requirements regarding accessibility around city documents, and a lot of that ties in with meetings. So we have some deadlines to meet here in the next week or two. So if you see some changes, that's what a lot of it's rooted in. The couple other updates I have are we have concluded interviews for the special project manager position. There's a tentative hire there. We hope to announce more soon once all the HR I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And we're in the midst of interviews for the arts assistant director position. So moving along there. And then I know we'll get into this more with the grants subcommittee report. Arts project grants are live. We've seen, I didn't get the count today. We have a couple dozen in so far. And so I would just encourage everyone to, keep word of mouth going, encouraging folks that you see to apply. We'll continue boosting that city side. And then we're going to have some public feedback sessions for the convention center art. Jane, do you actually want to speak to that briefly?
Not yet.
Okay.
But as soon as the CIB, this is led by the CIB, and as soon as the CIB feed subcommittee has that plan solidified, we'll share that and make sure that this group is aware and can help get the word out about that too.
Cool. And so, yeah, I think that's probably it on the staff side. Gerard, anything else you want to cover with the chair?
I will move on to that. Are we, I guess there's really nothing to report on the financial side of things.
My apologies.
That's all good.
I skipped over that. Yeah, we can run through that here. That is included in the full meeting packet. Basically no changes from the previous month. Allocation to the BAC grants for 2026, $130,000. BUEA zone grant allotment, 50,000, putting the total between those two at 180,000, and there's still $5,000 in for the Emerging Artist Professional Development Fund. So naturally, as grants are reviewed for this arts project cycle, we make some funding decisions that will start to draw down from the grants budget. So thank you, Gerard, for that nudge.
Perfect.
Nick, can I say something about what you said?
Certainly.
Do we have a good link for the new grants opportunities to send out to people? Was it in the last email?
Yeah. So we can, and I know we're going to run through this a little bit more with some of the criteria and eligibility changes.
Okay.
But yes, on the Arts Commission website, the page linked from the city site, which I will give us a quick look at here. There is a sub-page for grant opportunities and professional development.
That's what we should cut and send to people.
Exactly, and so
Okay.
here's the sub-page. This includes a full summary and then a more thorough program guidelines, a preview of the application questions, and a budget template
Okay.
that people can review before going to the application. So they can do some prep without having to start from scratch like in the form.
Okay.
Nick, may I ask about that? Because as I went through this and got
Yeah.
to this page, it seemed to be only about the arts project grants and not mentioning the other two grant cycles. I think it would be helpful if there were a place where all the grant cycles were available and announced, even if we don't have dates, they could at least be on people's agenda.
Yes, I think that's fair. I know that in the past, or at least last year, there was an announcement about all three cycles at the outset, at the time when the first cycle, which I believe was project grants again, was opening up. I think in this case, because of the transition we had with city staff, we were a little hesitant to commit to timelines and wanted to leave some room for that new assistant director to communicate with the BAC and just make sure that everyone was square there. So what we can do is simply mention that there are going to be 2 other grant cycles. I can add text to this webpage that just mentions more information will be coming. And then, yeah, I think once we have the AD in here, able to talk about timing for the second cycle, what we'll do is potentially look ahead and see if we can just announce dates for both the second and the third at the same time, if it feels appropriate to the BAC. Yeah.
That'd be great. The easier the better to share it.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. Great question.
Yeah, I could be mistaken here, but I believe there are also like a Facebook and Instagram post too that you could probably easily like share and blast.
Yes, there is an Instagram post from the BAC account.
Okay.
And we're gonna bump that again.
But yeah, it sounds like what you're reporting in terms of numbers is, I think, about what we would expect, and because I mean, the bulk of them tend to come in those last couple days. So yeah, if
Yeah.
we're already at a couple dozen,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Deadlines motivate action. It's always good.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Nick. So agenda item number 4 from your former chair. We have already welcomed new commissioner, Austin White. And so a quick note. I mean, this was brought up in Neda's midpoint email, but just a reminder about sort of meeting attendance. I think Neda shared the policies for meeting attendance and meeting requirements in that email. And I think in particular, just a reminder that it's super, super helpful to fill out the attendance form, just so we don't run into a situation like what we had in March where people are showing up and then we don't have quorum. So just a reminder there. And with that note, I will go to agenda item number 5, public art, with a report from Christina.
So I don't have a lot to say, but mainly an update on CIB. So we've had most of the artists were able to come here and do their visit, and they were able to submit their proposals, or it's due on the 10th, so it's due this week. And then we're going to start interviews April 20th through the 1st. And so right now they're just scheduling when they want to do their interviews for their proposals. For the Public Arts Subcommittee, we'll kind of like look at the proposals, do our discussion, and give our recommendation to the CIB. And that will happen between like the 4th and the 15th, so that way they can kind of make that contact with the selected artist on the 20th. So that's kind of the timeline between now and then. We're also going to be doing public feedback between the 20th and the 1st as well. I didn't know, Jane, if you had any more information on kind of how that's progressing. I know it's like in person and online, but I didn't know if there's other details that I might be missing.
Yeah, the materials aren't ready yet, but what I've been talking about with Galen is having a survey link with questions where we're trying to generate, like, mine people for meaningful feedback about the pieces. And then I'm not sure, I'm definitely happy to do this, but I think there should be a dog and pony show that goes around town. So, like, tentatively signed up for the farmers market tabling on the 25th, and I've been reaching out to different community spots and grocery stores. But this is all, it hasn't been finalized by the CIB Public Art or BEAD subcommittee yet. So, but that's kind of what we're thinking about in terms of getting feedback from the public.
And
trying to really get out into the community in different different spaces.
I'll say real quick for your benefit, Austin, CIB is the Capital Improvement Board. And so they're the group overseeing the convention center expansion. And so this is all about the public art element being incorporated into that.
That's great.
Can I say something about that? So our role is only to advise. We're not picking. So if any, just because I think a lot of people think we are.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than some other 1% for the art projects that have been done in the past, where the BAC's had more of a direct role in the decision making. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's kind of the updates for the CIB, and then we had the. Do you want to give more information on the CCC grant, like how that went with Rob and?
Oh, with the mural selection.
Yeah, is that what that's referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just the quick thing, especially since we didn't meet last month, is there is a mural call that went out for proposals to put an exterior mural near the new Soma location in the Trades District. So the retaining wall, basically on the north side of the Kiln building, on the south side of 11th Street in their outdoor patio area. So again, this is not an official BAC commission, but Bob Costello, who owns Soma, did want to bring in a couple community members. So there are a couple people from the CCC grant, the project that I'm working on with IU in the Mill, Bob himself, and then we invited someone from the Public Art Committee. Gretchen jumped in and joined us, and so it seems like there is a finalist selected. Ultimately, like IU is handling the funding and the contracting for that. So it's not 100% set in stone, but I think there's a good concept, and it's an artist that they can work with to kind of fine tune it.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last thing I had was just the next meeting for the Public Art Subcommittee will be, we changed it to the second Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. So that will be April 14th at 5:30. It's in the Hooker Conference Room. I'm not sure where that is. So, but
I don't either.
yeah.
Good.
And
Oh, yeah.
so you guys can say,
Right.
but I just know it's in the Hooker Conference Room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out this hooker.
And this
Yeah,
is
right.
for the Public Arts Subcommittee.
The Public Art Subcommittee.
And I will be a little late
Okay.
because I have a double meeting, so, but I will definitely be there.
You there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's upstairs, you guys, in case no one said that yet.
Okay.
It's upstairs here at City Hall.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, also I don't know if Netta or someone had briefed you on it, but once you're like a couple months in, you'll select one or both committees, subcommittees to be a part
I
of. So
see.
there's a public arts subcommittee, and then there's a grants subcommittee.
Cool, thank you.
So,
Yeah, that's all the announcements I have.
okay, great. Cool. Okay, Paul and I will give the grants reports. So as Nick noted at the top of the meeting, the arts project support grants are live, and we would definitely appreciate continued sort of like promotion of those and encouragement of artists and arts groups to submit proposals. If anyone that you know has any specific questions, they can first they can email Paige. I believe Paige is sort of like kind of the first line of fielding questions, and then she delegates those as needed. And we also offer sort of like, I guess you could call them short consultations if folks have specific questions about the applications that they're putting together. We don't review grants, but we will answer questions and kind of get people feeling good about the proposals that they're submitting and make sure that it's appropriate and eligible. So speaking of eligibility, a couple months ago at this point, Paul and I, along with Paige, sort of updated the guidelines and ineligible expenses language, as well as the application for the arts project grant, and we plan to do similar sort of updates to the artistic advancement and operations grants. The updated materials were included in the packet for today. And so what I am hoping to do with that is just get, I guess, some like general feedback, but also if there's feedback specifically from anyone on the grant subcommittee, which I guess in this case would just be Lynn. Yeah, and then assuming there isn't any major feedback there, we'll do a quick just sort of like committee vote on those with minor changes so that we can kind of make adjustments here and there. And then I have a couple quick other announcements. So yeah, so had anyone been able to review or have any notes about sort of the changes that have been made?
Can you pull them up or not?
Yeah, we have them here.
Okay.
That's it, okay.
Yeah,
Where are the changes?
So some of the major changes,
Do you want to look more at like the restrictions, or is there anything about eligibility?
I don't know if there are changes in the eligibility per se. I think we've clarified a couple things. So we have clarified that the project we kind of defined like what you call like the grant window. And so, because some of the projects that we funded in the past have been either like one-off or like an ongoing series, we wanted to continue to be able to support those, but we like defined a specific window that says like, you know, the expenses for this particular grant cycle have to be made between July 1st, 2026 and June 30th, 2027. So that is, so like, you know, folks who apply can't retroactively pay for things that had happened before, and then same for expenses beyond the June 30th window. So that was one thing, and then in eligibility, I think this had been sort of a working rule of the committee, but we kind of put it into the eligibility criteria, and that was about sort of like student projects. That, you know, we like students can absolutely apply for these projects, but we will not fund sort of like projects that are specifically tied to their curriculum. That
You're talking IU.
Well, I mean Ivy Tech or things like that as well.
But not local high school kids.
I believe, and I don't think we threw this in the criteria, but it was a question that came up. You have to be over 18, which I guess could apply to some high school seniors. So yeah, if they were over 18, they could apply for this, but it couldn't be for like
Project.
Yeah,
Project.
like if they were doing like an art, a photography class at their school, they couldn't get funds for that. But if they wanted to do a public exhibition, or a public performance, like those would be eligible.
So do we need to change higher education institution to include secondary education institution?
Ooh, potentially. I'll make a note of that. I think, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Gerard, but I feel like where this came up most frequently was when there were applications for students who want funding for like an MFA thesis show
Yes.
or
Yeah.
like a final BFA show, something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, so then moving, and then we should because of I think some of the personnel changes at the city, we shifted the timeline a little bit, mostly just sort of when the window is open, but in terms of the funding notification and funding disbursements, those haven't changed significantly. But yes, I think first of all, we, I think with the help of Paige, created a funding restrictions list where we kind of used the IAC list as like sort of like a starting point, but then kind of like made adjustments to that that I think were maybe more appropriate, and in some cases I'd say a little bit more. I think these are a little bit less restrictive than some of the IAC guidelines. But we created a list there, and then I think most importantly, we really sort of like honed in on evaluation criteria. I guess. There, sorry, other way. There we go. Yes, where we, I think, honed in on sort of two sort of like general criteria with then like 4 specific points within each: community impact and engagement, and then implementation. And I think what you'll see is like we're really specific about this, and then the application, I think, really sort of like flows and follows these criteria, so that like one, it's sort of like the person who's applying has a very clear understanding of what information they need to provide and what they're going to be evaluated on, and also for the committee reviewing is we have a very clear set of criteria as well that matches very cleanly with the application. I think we had developed, I think, a pretty good understanding of that, but it was in previous years, but we're operating on institutional knowledge, and I think this is sort of like moving us into I think just like further clarity both for us and for applicants.
I think those are good changes.
Okay, and then lastly, we sort of simplified some of the final reporting criteria. This won't be really come into play until next year. But I mean, really, I think what we assessed was, we just kind of want a little bit of documentation about, the impact of the project, and then also like both just, I mean, yeah, partially to make sure that the money was spent how it was supposed to be spent, but also I think for our own data, when we go to city council and we are asking for continued funding and support for these projects, we want to have data to show that, hey, like, look at all these great things that this money has gone toward, the artists that have been able to be supported by this, and the broad audience for this work as well, and that includes pictures, which like for slideshows and PowerPoints and sort of really showcasing the work that we do.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Whose responsibility is it going to be to go through the final reporting?
That's a great question.
I will say quickly that it is the responsibility of city staff to collect the reports, and to connect the dot back to like the really defined timeline for when the project needs to be completed within. That endpoint is the trigger for city staff to then go seek out those final reports. So part of what we're looking at too is, was the money all spent? Was it spent within that window, right? And so then once it's collected, admittedly, this has been a little loose in the past, and so I think that we will most likely really empower the new assistant director for the arts to, I think, engage the BAC on how to use that information. You know, because like Gerard said, it will inform conversations about, you know, future funding and just how we generally talk about the success of the program. But as far as like how it informs like future evaluation, things like that, I think that's a staff and BAC conversation.
Yeah, no, I would agree with all that. And that's, yeah, thanks for providing that clarity, because I was assuming and hoping that would be a staff responsibility to collect those. So that's
someone who's paid for it.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, I was like, that's going to be a busy
So
summer.
I think it's helpful to just keep in mind that there's a way in which this is a kind of draft, and we're testing it out this coming year. We're trying to move closer and closer to something that's really helpful to artists and helpful to the city and helpful to the commission.
Yeah. Great. So yeah, I mean, I think that's, thank you.
I'm sorry, I was just, and I might have blinked, one of the things about the final report, if you could just put that.
Yeah.
Is it, I'm wondering if it would be helpful at all to say something about what length is expected.
That is a great point. I can't.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think one of the key, I think to Paul's point, we said requirements may include the following. This we still haven't, I think, figured out the what the reporting form or mechanism will actually look like. I think when it comes time to do that, we usually have, like, you know, character amounts or things like
or
that.
Numbers of, I guess characters rather than words.
Yes.
I'm just sort of like, of course, as I continue to feel my age, come from the era where I was told how many pages these things should be, which is no longer really needed or appropriate, but to make it look less onerous, having sort of no more than X is required, or I mean, that's not the right way to put it, but something like that.
Yes. Yeah, I think we will definitely include that, and my understanding is that we want to keep these relatively brief and short. Like we want this, of course, the information to be accurate and useful, but not kind of overburdensome.
And I'll add too that when artists are recommended by the BAC, formally selected, and staff reaches out to initiate contracts with the artists, there is language in that contract that describes the final reporting. And there has been a recent discussion, just as we're sort of reevaluating everything, about exactly how that is defined within that contract. And so I think, let me double check what our actual contracting window is. But with funding notifications happening June 8th, the idea is that between that June 8th and July 31st window, the idea is to contract in that period of time. Obviously, it depends on people's responsiveness and what questions they have, and staff capacity to some extent. But I think there will be an opportunity. You know, we don't know when a new assistant director will start, but there may be an opportunity to engage them on that. If not, we do have Paige as a resource as the consultant to give us additional feedback in addition to the commissions as far as exactly what we want that to look like. So with that being incorporated in the contract, there will be room for some dialogue and folks to ask questions.
Can I ask something? So you guys on the grants, there'll be like a specific form that they will fill out to make it a little bit easier.
Likely, I think. That's how we do it now. Although that kind of process has been, we haven't been as consistent with that. But my understanding is, it'll be a form.
The use of funds form and the brief explanation and.
Yeah. Although, and this is something that we'll consider in the creation of it. We have gotten some really creative reports in the past. Like I know, I think her name's Katie. I'm blanking on her last name, but she delivered her report. Like she's a graphic novelist, and she delivered her report in this like very like creative way. That had all the info that we needed, but it was like she sketched it out, and I think I don't think we want to. I think we'd like to, but also want the information in ways that we can kind of like put into.
Yeah.
You can tell
and
the
I
job
don't-
to collate it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I don't want to get ahead of feedback from the future arts director, but there's probably a wisdom in having at least some basic information go in a Google form so that it can be easily like collated and dropped into an Excel sheet or whatever, just for future reference. And then that sort of thing, along with like pictures and whatever, like supplemental material people provide. It just gives you more color for what the artist did.
Yeah. Yeah, all great questions. Okay. Any more notes or thoughts about the arts project grant? The changes. Okay. Well, then I think with just the sort of we do have committee quorum here, so I think just between me, Paul, and Lynn, I would like to take a quick vote on the sort of on the sort of eligibility criteria and ineligible expenses language and the changes that we've made with minor changes. All in favor of the language and changes that have been put forward, say aye.
I just wanted
sorry.
the one thing, the question about the higher versus other educational institutions, that was an aye with that caveat.
Okay, yeah. I think that could fall under minor changes.
Okay, then aye.
Great, fantastic. Any opposed, say nay. All right, fantastic. Great. So a couple other things on the grant side. So one is, and this actually came from Nick, but I wanted to just bring it to the attention of the folks here. So the NEA currently, or I said this year, has a grants for arts projects grant that I think they're in between their two cycles right now. They had sort of a February cycle, and then they have a July cycle coming up. So one of the questions that we frequently get is like, okay, well, so maybe I need more funds for the project that I'm doing, or you didn't, the BAC isn't funding me this time. What other resources are available? This is a very high level example of federal funds that would be available for arts projects. So I just wanted to put it on our collective radars to let folks know that the NEA is awarding some funds still, which is great.
That is great.
It looks like the upcoming application package will be available in mid-May, and then the submission deadline for that July cycle is July 9th. And there's, I don't know if there's a link to this in the agenda. Actually, it might not have been in the agenda. I'll go ahead and send this out to folks so that you have a link to the NEA page for that.
I will say just broadly, we do try to include things like this that come across our radar in the monthly, at least currently monthly, city arts newsletters. If you have people that are sort of new to the grant-seeking game, I just encourage people to also sign up to the newsletter for the Indiana Arts Commission. They're really good about collecting national and regional stuff too.
Yep. Okay, and lastly, I believe this was in the midpoint email, but just to reiterate, the grant subcommittee is also changing its meeting time. We are going to be the fourth Wednesday of every month at 5:30 p.m. I'm blanking right now on the exact meeting location,
see if I can find it.
We will follow up with that.
We have that in the Kelly conference room, which is just down the hall. Go through the double doors. It's just past the ESD office.
Okay, great. Perfect. Paul, is there, before we move on to the next thing, is there anything that you want to add or note?
No.
Okay.
just wanted to do that. Thank you.
I have a conflict on April 22nd, which is, I believe, that date.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you and Betsy about that. We may end up moving that meeting because I think Betsy also has a conflict. So, okay. So with that, moving on to agenda item number 7. Nick, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the upcoming events and important dates document.
There you go.
I'm kind of dominating this at the moment. I threw a bunch of stuff in here this afternoon. So a couple quick things that are related to the Arts and Humanities Council, or some of events that we're hosting in our building space. Tomorrow and Friday, I believe I can't remember if it's the Neil Marshall Black Culture Center or if it's AAADS or AAAI. Or all of them collectively, but they're hosting a symposium on soul music. That is like free and open to the public at Maxwell Hall at the Cook Center. The keynote is, there's a speaking event tomorrow from 3 to 5, and then like this sort of symposium with panel discussions is taking place on Saturday between 9 and 3.
Who's the keynote speaker?
I don't know off the top of my head.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Or she wants to be, well, I don't know. She's the guest of honor.
Okay. And then a couple other quick things coming up, and this is sort of just Grand Falloon kicked off this past week so we had a screening with Cicada Cinema, and we had an art exhibition opening. And there's actually an event that just started right now at the Buzzcocks Chumley Theater, a comedy and politics event. So Grand Falloon is underway, so I'm going to be sort of like putting a lot of our events on the calendar here. The ones sort of in between now and our next meeting that are sort of like free and open to the public are the IU Cinema and Can are going to simultaneously screen the film Swiss Army Man, which connects to some of the themes of Slapstick, our novel this year. And then in early May, the IU Theater and Drama, a visiting faculty member there has adapted this year's novel, Slapstick, into sort of a 1-hour staged concert reading of the novel, and theater students will be performing that at the Cook Center. And I think we're also working on having a talk back after one of those events. But those are always pretty well attended, and they, it's cool to see faculty and students and collaborating in that way, and being, kind of joining Grand Falloon, our programming in that way. So I'll give those a shout out. Anyone else have any events or things that they would like to share or note?
At the Buzzcocks Chumley right after this, it is free. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we'll just walk in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If anyone wants to go.
Yeah. It's a longer event today, so
Yeah.
it'll be going.
I know AAAI, like in April, they always have their concerts every week. So the 18th is the dance company, the 21st, the 25th is the Soul Review, and then May 4th is the Choral Ensemble. So the next couple of weekends they'll be having their concerts.
Where are they gonna be? All at the same place or different places?
Let's see. Most of them are at the IU Auditorium or at the
Okay.
Buzzcocks Chumley Theater.
Yeah,
I can put it in the.
Okay. Yeah. I will. Yeah. I've got a spot held for it. Great.
They're all they're at different places, but I
Cool.
can just tell you guys in the document.
Well, I will just mention that there's an Earth Day celebration at Switchyard Park Saturday, April 18th. And there will be some art and games and things like that. I think there's like a sand art station people can work at, and I believe there's like a free tree giveaway.
Fun.
We need a tree for your yard.
Is that Switchyard?
Yes. Switchyard, Saturday, April 18th, 12 to 3:30 p.m. Everything free.
That, have they said when they're gonna announce the main Grand Falloon? Show?
They actually just have.
Just on Monday.
It's not Waxahachie, is it?
So there's actually three. It's a series now. There are three performances.
Yeah.
Waxahachie is the headliner for the June concert.
Okay.
Gillian Welch and Dave Rawlings are doing 2 sets in July. They're doing I believe a Grateful Dead cover set, and then a original set. And then Duran Jones is the headliner for August 29th, and I know that is in collaboration actually with Secretly as sort of like a celebration of 30 years of Secretly. So I know that there's going to be some other concerts and engagements kind of like in partnership with them. So, yep, and those are going to be at Switchyard Park. Great. Any other events or important dates? Okay, moving on to commissioner comments and announcements. Does anyone have any comments or announcements they'd like to make?
I just had one. It was more so about like how many people are on the commission and like filling new spots, and I didn't know if there was any updates on that and all that jazz.
Yeah, so we are, with Austin joining us, we are now at 10 out of 11 seats filled. So I know we talked about quorum. Quorum is a simple majority, so it's like half plus 1. Now we have 10, quorum is 6. When it's full at 11, quorum will still be 6. That one open slot is a mayoral appointee.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Jane has checked in on that a couple times, and the mayor's support staff is at least engaged with some applicants. I'm not sure exactly where it's at beyond that, because there are at least a few people who have, like, on the side checked in with Jane and Paige and I, just to make sure they're still in the mix. And we've just gotten confirmation from the mayor's office that they are or still need to talk to people.
Great question. Thanks.
Are we allowed to know who's applied or not? Is that confidential or
That's a good question.
is it none of our business?
I don't know the official answer to that. And off the top of my head, I don't remember any names. But I'm happy to look it up and check.
Just curious.
Yeah. And, the other thing I'll mention is just that, like, even if there's not an open seat, it is totally fine to still encourage people to apply. People can just sort of, like, sit in a queue, for when seats open up. And, it's good to know who those people are.
Yep. Agreed.
And I guess I should have mentioned this in the staff report, but just while we're talking about membership in the commission, I would just give people a gentle reminder to fill out your conflict of interest form if you've not already. That is something that is generally needed for the commission, but is particularly important ahead of grant reviews. You will not be able to review grants without that. It's not complicated. It's not like a background check. It's just simply stating, do you have relationships with an organization that you would derive some financial benefit, if they would be awarded a grant. And that doesn't even mean that you're precluded from reviewing grants, it just means we know who to tell to step out of the room
Yeah.
when we're reviewing specific ones. So just need to know that, before anyone can sit down and look through the applications.
So obviously a lot of people are asking about Holly and Jazz. And my response has been, HR has said that they can't talk about it yet. Is that still the response?
Yeah, I would say, from my understanding, it's not even a yet. I think it's simply like city side. It's just they don't. I guess HR department doesn't comment on personal decisions publicly. I think a lot of employers
What about
do
us as commissioners?
I think that still holds. I mean, the truth is, we've had some like all staff events, or at least events that are like available for staff to submit questions to the mayor and things like that. That has not been divulged to like staff either. Like I was not told anything directly. Other people in our department was not told anything directly, like from city staff.
Okay. Is there ever going to be like a statement about it, or just not?
My understanding is probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know naturally press can ask questions, and I think some questions have probably been asked, and so I don't know what will come from that. But I just know on like on a personal level, I talked to Holly directly, and I think she and Chaz will divulge what they want to divulge.
Okay. Well, that's a good response.
Yeah.
Any other comments or announcements? Okay, moving on to agenda item number 9, the public comment. Oh, hey, Betsy.
Hey. Her mic's off.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been here the whole time.
Hey.
Hey, Betsy.
Do you have any comments or announcements?
No, but I wish you were here in Mississippi with me, sitting on this porch of my sister's Airbnb.
Oh man.
Lovely.
Yeah, that sounds delightful.
Nice.
Yes, beautiful. No, I don't have anything to add, but I do think that it's, I hope that we'll be able to reschedule that grants meeting sometime. I see that there's someone else has a conflict, so
Yeah.
maybe figure out a time.
Yeah, we'll find another time soon, for sure.
Yeah,
Perfect.
thanks.
Okay. Well.
Come on, Betsy.
Given that there's no public, so we will go ahead and move to call to adjourn. So again, thanks all for being here. I motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I please get a second?
Second.
A verbal second. Thank you, Gretchen. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks all.
Thanks.